There are 120,000 reasons to smile as the Corus Caring Hearts virtual radiothon was a huge success. Joining me now from Corus is Shannon Lebrun, and from the Community Hospital Foundation, Amy Gillespie. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you for having us, Gabe.
All
Thanks
right.
so much.
All right, so we'll start with how you both are feeling after the great day yesterday, and we'll start with you, Shannon.
Thank you, Gabe. Very excited, a little tired, and very grateful for having such a wonderful community.
Absolutely, and Amy, how are you feeling after the great result?
I think that Shannon summed it up really well. I think the only thing I would add is humbled. It was quite a journey to get here. And just seeing how many people came out in so many ways, it's like this event is the heartbeat of our community.
Absolutely. So let's go through the day a little bit, Shannon. Obviously, this was an entirely new experience doing a radiothon during a pandemic. So talk to me about how the day unfolded.
Well, the day started around 4:30 yesterday. Our team, Bill and Trevor in the morning show, started setting up all the equipment. And thank you to Kojiko for making sure that we had telephone lines and that we could broadcast live outside of our studios. So it was an early morning start. Technology can be wonderful at times, and because of technology, we were able to pull off such a great day yesterday. We were about 20 of us on site, I would say, Amy, throughout the day, handling the day and working together to make sure that it went off without any trouble. And I have to say, we had a pretty good day as a group. There was a lot of pre-work that happened, though, because of the pandemic and not being able to have over 100 volunteers participate and make it happen and do this with 20 people. We had to do a lot of work beforehand. So Bill interviewed about 40 different people between our stories from our hospital employees as well as patients, and then all of our sponsors that made it happen. So about 40 interviews to take care of and to record to make sure that everybody had a voice yesterday.
Absolutely, and Amy, of course, we know that this $120,000 is going to go to a really good cause. So we kind of spoke about this before, but let's talk a little bit about what this money will allow the hospital to do during this pandemic.
I think it is. When I talked about humbling earlier, I will also say that I've had a bird's eye view of the things that have happened behind the scenes at the hospital to make sure we're prepared for the pandemic. And how can you really prepare for something like that? I think it's, if we think about it, for the average person, they need to have the dependability of healthcare when they need it. But what that has meant is ultimately an unavoidable investment and an unexpected investment of $1 million locally to make sure we are prepared. And that is a lot, and it has been difficult. And there have been widespread infrastructure and workflow changes to make us prepared to date. That said, I have been saying a lot, it is a marathon and not a sprint when we look at COVID-19. And so we will continue having to fundraise over this time to make sure that we are equipped properly to take care of it. And the one thing I'd like to say, Gabe, is that, it's interesting because we've been so fortunate with our local cases over the last few months, but we still have had cases. And this week before Radiothon, we felt very appreciative of being able to share the story of a grateful patient who was sent to us from Hawkesbury. Because remember, CCH has the only ventilator capacity outside of Ottawa in our region. So this woman was very sick and she spent 3.5 weeks on ventilator in a coma at CCH. She calls the nurses there in our critical care unit her angels and attributes her life to our hospital. So at the end of the day, thank goodness our cases are low, but they do exist. And over time, we just have to make sure we're ready no matter what happens.
Absolutely, and that's so wonderful to hear that heartwarming story of the impact that this all does have, because this is why the Radiothon took place, right? And Shannon, off camera, we kind of spoke about how you were asked yesterday, how do you put on a Radiothon during a pandemic? And your answer was really great. It was about the people that care.
Yeah.
So I'll have you elaborate on that, and the people that spent their entire day from 4:30 till 7 p.m. Raising money for the hospital.
Absolutely. The people make all the difference. And I'll give credit to Bill Hallman, our program manager, for making that happen. When it comes to, radio, I take care of things behind the scenes. And Bill Hallman takes care of what you hear on the radio. So when it comes to, all that prep work, that is totally on Bill and his team to make that happen. And because they believe in what they're doing and they believe in our community, it's just easy, right? It's a lot of work, but it's easy because we care about it. And as I've mentioned before, our partnership with the foundation, if it weren't for the foundation and their support, I don't think that our Radiothon could go as well as it does. I had mentioned to you that some of our other Corus radio stations are looking at doing Radiothons as well, and they're asking how did you guys make it through a Radiothon with a pandemic? And again, my answer was our people, definitely our people.
Absolutely. And when we talk about that community support, Amy, maybe we can finish off. When last time we spoke, we talked about all the ways to donate, and that included, different businesses in town donating their facilities that people could drop off and donate. So let's give them their due and how that went with them.
Absolutely. So on top of our wonderful sponsors and on top of the people who worked on this so intimately, from, our family at Corus to us, to you guys at Kojko, we had 6 locations that went from Ingleside to Lancaster, because often our hospital is called Cornwall Community Hospital, but people often forget that our catchment district is SDG and Akwesasne. And so it's not just Cornwall that we serve. So Fines Home Hardware had people out there collecting in Ingleside. We had O'Neill's Pub that collected in Long Sault. We had Dairy Queen, our title sponsor, who is amazing. They took top-ups at the drive-thru, and they also gave us all their funds from their cotton candy dipped cones. But that's hard to say 3 times fast over the course of the day. We had Starbucks Cornwall that gathered outside and through their drive-through. We have Remax team, and Remax have worked with us for every year of Radiothon to help us volunteer and raise funds. And then we had Roseau Insurance out in Lancaster who collected funds for us there too. So, it was a huge initiative, and it's interesting because, we might see some things that happen this year out of necessity come into new ideas for years that go on. Because I will say we want this to happen again, as long as partners will come with us. But I know, big order. But I will say, we've been talking to Shannon previously, and I just wanted to point one last thing out if possible. She talked about the varied gifts that we receive came to fundraising. I know she mentioned $5, and I actually even received a donation of $3.50. And the gentleman said, I'm sorry, this is my change, but you know what? Fundraising isn't about just the major gifts that you'll see often. We appreciate those, and absolutely, and they are so important because healthcare is a very expensive initiative, and we are not covered by government funds, generally speaking, when it comes to equipment. But truly, this is an every dollar it counts situation. And if you look at our growth over the course of yesterday, it was everyone participating. So that gentleman with $3.50, that contributed. We had $1,000 donators and more, but it was every single dollar that helped us get to our mark, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It all adds up to $120,000, as we alluded to, which is a fantastic number given the circumstances. Hats off to everybody at Corus and the Community Hospital Foundation for all your long hours yesterday making this happen. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us, Gabe, and we appreciate your sponsorship as well and your partnership. And we're going to start working on next year's.